All right, greetings everybody. Happy to be here with you this evening. Welcome to our second episode of World Fusion Wednesdays. Tonight we welcome our guest, Peter Levitov. Peter is a multi-instrumentalist, a composer, a handpan player, and also an instructor. Beautiful human being. He currently resides in the Gainesville, Florida area. We're playing the song as you're listening now in the intro called Firefly, one of his compositions. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Peter, and we're going to have him play us some music for intro into our evening. Thank you, Peter, for joining us here on World Fusion Wednesday.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. This instrument is a B, Ursa Minor B, by Curtis Smith, who's out of Oklahoma, and his company is Pan Smith Instruments. Oh, let me shut my air conditioning off so you guys don't have to listen to that.
And I have to say that I love this man's laugh. It's contagious. So.
Oh, yes. All right. Round two. Bathing in silence this time.
Wonderful sounds. I've been waiting for that all day to hear that.
All right, wonderful.
Beautiful. So we definitely have a few questions for you tonight. So I wanted to start with how did you get into playing the handpan instrument?
Well, there is a long series of events, but the short story is somebody posted it on my Facebook wall, a good friend of mine, and I had been into a little bit of world music. I hadn't played a whole lot. I started taking music a little bit more seriously in my 20s, early 20s, and but I didn't consider myself a musician at this point, really. And I looked at it on my wall and I just immediately fell in love, and I immediately felt like that's exactly what I want to do with the rest of my life. And so I got online and searched how to get one. This was in 2008, and then quickly learned that it was near impossible to get one.
Right.
So
yeah, I heard that there was a waiting list for several companies that were making them.
Well, there was really like 3 people building at that time in the world who were building quality instruments.
Wow.
And I was aware of one of them,
Right.
Which was Pan Art at that time. And I pursued it for a couple of years, and synchronicity lined up, and I ended up getting one, which is a good story perhaps for another day. But I've seen in this art form so many people who come across one, these amazing synchronicities line up. And that was certainly the case for me. It took me about a year to save up to get my instrument. And then I got it, and yeah, I haven't been able to walk away since.
So what is so captivating about it for you?
That's a really good question. Let me see if we have a good... Here we go. So let's try this guy. There's a lot about this instrument that I think is astounding. I think that there's something really powerful about metal, and I think we're still all discovering, but I think it's no coincidence that so many of the world's spiritual traditions use metal when they have it available, whether it's singing bowls or bells or gongs. For me, there's something about it that really speaks to the human condition in these really deep feelings of resonance and harmony and vibration. And they share these without a whole lot of heady conversation about it. It's just speaks for itself. Yeah. And so I love the metaphor of the instrument. I love that it has this beautiful sound that comes out, but this bass sound is such a powerful aspect of the instrument, and it comes from the emptiness inside. It actually comes from a combination of this port and the neck, how deep it is, how wide it is, and how big the chamber itself is. And so there's this balance of kind of form and emptiness that, and if I cover that, you really lose a tremendous amount of feeling that comes through.
Sure.
Just feels like it can't breathe to me when that is covered. So that balance of form and emptiness is astonishing to me. And there's little tiny things, like they're created from a single sheet of steel, well, 2 that are glued together. And each note interacts with the other notes. And if the boundaries aren't strong enough, it's a mess. Like you have these 2 notes here, which is a half step, and they don't want to be playing together. But these notes have this relationship here, the octave, that gives it this beautiful color because they're all speaking to each other just a little bit. And so a combination of all these things, and I could go on and on about the metaphor of the circle and the relationship of the notes around the center. I think it's just an astonishing instrument.
Would you like to share another composition with us?
Sure. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say about the instrument itself, why I think it's such a powerful instrument for our time and such an important instrument for humanity right now, given how challenging it is to live just with all the complexity of life.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
instrument itself is really simple, and I'll play a seven note instrument here just to really bring it home. But you can see there's this idea of just having a few notes in a scale, is kind of, it creates this feeling like meditating around a campfire, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just so simple and the mind can't muck it up as easily as it can when there's all of these notes in front and all of these things you have to consider. And it brings us into this place that I feel like is really our birthright, that all of us, if you trace our ancestry back far enough, have this simple relationship to art and music. And, you know, we live in the rhythm of Mother Nature and of the seasons and of our breath and our steps. And and simple instruments like this allow us to reconnect with this relationship with sound, which is like, hey, I can use sound to say thank you, to connect with the earth, to connect with myself, to connect with my family, my community, my ancestors. And I think that that's something we've lost, a tremendous loss that has come with art as entertainment, I guess. And I love art as entertainment. I'm not knocking that, but I am
Right.
saying it's really important that everybody understands we are musical creatures. We
Yes.
live in a world of music, and these simple instruments really allow us to just spiral into the center of ourselves and into the center of the sound. And that sound is so delicate with the metal. We can really use it to follow it, like use it as a boat to the place where sound and silence meet. And I find the more that I am in that place, it's just an endless shore to be approached. So, all right, enough enough talking.
We're enjoying learning.
What's that?
I said we are enjoying learning tonight.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. How we doing there?
Great. That was beautiful, brother.
Great.
7 notes. That's amazing with 7 notes there. So let me ask you, with your approach with music, with the handpan, do you find that do you compose or do you improvise primarily? Could you talk to us about your process with that?
Sure. Yeah. I the way that I've approached sound and music and the way that I've been trained to approach sound is really centered around improvisation. And for me, the sound and the process of playing and hearing is a reflection of every other aspect of my life. So I try to treat my approach to playing really like for me it's like church. It's like a prayer under the
Yeah.
best of circumstances.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a battle with my ego, an endless battle with my mind, and sometimes it's both. I really I strive to be as transparent as possible in the moment, and so if I'm feeling something funky or something funky is wanting to come through, I'm trying to go into that. And you may notice I have a lot of kind of holding places where I'm really listening and leaving
Yeah.
more space. Um, and it's a wonderful, terrible place to be.
Well, you know, the instrument lends itself, you know, where those tones have a place to go. It
Yeah,
almost like it's built into the vessel, like you were talking about,
totally.
how it's hollow. You know, it's
Yeah.
that mix of space and space, as if we're talking about outside, and
Yeah.
surface.
Yeah. And you nailed it. That's right. And I find that when I approach it that way, sometimes I'm just like really in my head and I'll come and I'll try to like just sit down and impose my will on it, or I'm practicing and I'm like trying to do something, but if that's not balanced for me with an equal or more larger portion of listening and trying to hear what wants to be played and respond to that, then I feel like I'm not doing, I'm falling short of my ideal at least, and I'm also missing out on things that the instrument has to offer. But as a performer, that's a terrifying place to be because sometimes it comes out wonderful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, wow, I'm just like fighting myself the entire time, and everybody gets to hear that, and it's like this is a good example. It's recorded forever, and you just
I
have to
know,
live
we're
with that.
grateful for it. We're grateful for that you're with us tonight and we get to do this. Now,
I'm
I
grateful to
know
be here.
from experience, because we've played together, I see that Doug and Eva are with us tonight as well. And I know Doug had a chance to play too. Um, Tell us about environment, how and what you look for to play, because I know sometimes certain instruments lend itself to specific environments.
That's a great question. Well, when we really were playing and meeting, I was doing a lot more street performance. And so
Uh-huh.
that's a really interesting context because
Yeah.
it's not really a great environment for the handpan. Um, and so you have to really create that environment and hold the pole of that environment as best as possible. And so I think that under the best of circumstances, it can be created anywhere. For me, my absolute favorite bread and butter place is like 2 to 5 people in a small, cozy room, really with deep listening. Um, I've had a few opportunities to play with for people with really like advanced practitioner meditators
Mm-hmm.
with tremendous concentration. And under those circumstances, I'll take 40, 50 people, 100 people, great. But those are few and far between. Um, there is a circuit that's created by the listener and the player. And so there are things that come when I'm performing for people that wouldn't necessarily come when I'm alone. And when people are aware of that relationship, then it gets really interesting and really juicy, that there's this, that you're not just like a passive receiver of sound, that there's this blending happening.
There's an interaction.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the deeper that people can listen, very often I'll find the deeper that I'm able to like take a breath, relax, and sink into the sound.
Beautiful. So I was wanting to ask you if you had another composition at this time that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's do something spicy. The question is, which flavor of spicy? I'll let you guys choose. Here we go. Option 1, ghost pepper.
Okay, thumbs up for ghost pepper. Let's see the next one here.
And then scorpion pepper.
Ooh. I think we got a lot of thumbs up on that one.
Okay, great.
Scorpion
This is a
pepper.
Hamsa hand pan.
Yeah.
Hamsa, Hamsa. Oh. Let me set this here. Built by Stephen Morris out of California.
Fantastic. I really enjoy the scorpion pepper. It sounds like it sounds similar to Phrygian scales. I enjoy
it's actually it's a mode of the harmonic minor. It's the fifth mode of the harmonic minor for those who are interested. I think it's a minor scale with a flat 2. So yeah, similar to the Phrygian, and a flat 2 and a sharp 3, I think.
Wow. Yeah,
like
gorgeous. Thank you for sharing that with all of us here. I had one more question for you, and then we're going to move on to our question answer with our participants. But what can we look forward to from you coming out in the future?
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm focused on now and kind of the direction that that's going in. So primarily, what I've been focusing on for the last 2 years is I distribute instruments for a bunch of builders that are good friends of mine. So I really, really love doing scale placement and scale design for people. I've been designing scales with a bunch of friends for years now. And I actually spent a year in 2017 building in Nevada with a good friend of mine.
Wow.
Of Axiom Instruments. And so I got to have a lot of experience playing with things and tweaking things. And it really helped me develop my ear and just develop a deeper appreciation for the instruments. So I'm always looking to get people into this instrument in a way that they find an instrument that is most likely going to express exactly what they want to express, exactly where they're at. So that's something I offer and I'm really excited about continuing to do. I'll be launching my website in the next month or so, updated with a lot of information on these different things. But actually, where are we on time? Okay, great. The main thing that I'm most excited about is my online school. And if all goes according to plan, I should be doing a beta launch in November and a full launch in January. And this is something I've been working on for 5 years and have been dreaming of for a long time. I developed a notation system that I have found
great.
It's extraordinary for new people. It's extraordinary for people who don't read traditional notation. It's based off of a time box unit system, like you'll see a lot in djembe and stuff. And this last year, we moved back to Florida, so I've had an incredible opportunity to work with a few people consistently. And so kind of paired with that system and the coursework that I'm developing, I created an orchestral pan arrangement, which right now is 4 instruments. There's another 4 and then another 3 that will complete the full set.
Awesome.
And that was something that's been before, this year happened. That was something we were focusing a lot of attention on, of really having a simple notation that anybody can get into and anybody can really very quickly play incredible songs. So I actually have something I can share with you, which is just like a little highlight reel of some of the things that we've been working on, some of our compositions. And these students that are playing here all started with 8 months or less of handpan learning. They were brand new. We practiced for, I think, 8-9 months at the time of this recording. So just to give you a sense of how far you can go in a short period of time if you're dedicated. And so anyhow, let me pull it up here and see. Let's see if this works. And let me know about sound, guys. It's just 2.5 minutes, so.
Gorgeous video.
Pretty amazing.
I
My students are
absolutely,
amazing.
yes, I absolutely love hearing all those instruments played together. Now, was that a piece that you composed for them to learn?
That's right. That's one of the pieces that will be in the beginner's course that I'm launching. Actually, the idea of a beginner's course is silly to me because so many of our beginner foundational concepts they only get more important the further along that we go. So my foundational course will have those pieces in there. And yeah, we were kind of pressed on time. And so those pieces weren't memorized. That was them sight reading the notation just to give you a sense of like how quickly you can get acclimated to it. And that's not the only focus but it really helps us all get on the same page and know exactly what we're playing. And once we have a few things that we can really simple things, I mean, that's what I love the most is these really basic ideas that are just repeated. Simple things that you kind of just meditate on, make them like this thing that hypnotizes you, go deeper and deeper. And then these compositions open up out of the simple stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited about the coursework. I've got about 15 courses worth of material that I want to film for y'all, but hopefully I'll just get the first 3 out in the next year.
Well, when everyone was playing together, it reminded me of the gamelan music from Bali. Now there's that metal connection again. And
Yeah.
the composition reminded me of some of the work by Philip Glass. So
Oh, cool.
I enjoyed some of the simplistic and rhythmic layering that you were doing and the placement of your harmonics. And you're a real master of your instrument. And we're so glad to have you here on tonight. So we're going to open up.
Just to
Sure.
say real quick, one of the things about that arrangement is the instruments are designed to lock perfectly into each other. So with that particular set, as long as everybody's playing the same thing, they create these chords naturally. So it's basically has the theory built into it. So you don't have to think about it, which
Right.
I found really delightful with that setup. But yeah.
Wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and take some questions here. And we had a question in the chat. So I'm going to open this up. Oh, yeah. Somebody else said, is the scorpion Phrygian? So I guess we touched on that too. So if you have a question that you would like to ask, if you would just raise your hand or a comment or anything, and you can go ahead and unmute your mic and speak. So, okay, Eva has something to say. So, good evening.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good to see you, my friend. Just wondering, so I was not here from the beginning, so I don't know if I missed it or not. I'm just wondering, how do you write your music? Like, how do you get inspired? Like, do you have to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write something? Or do you just get inspired and then actually write what's in your head?
That's a really good question. My favorite way to write is improvising with other people and filming and going back and just piecing things together from that. The piece we opened with Firefly was actually an improvisation I did with a friend of mine, Maxime Levoyer in France, and he and I basically improvised like 80% of that piece right off the bat. And so every now and again it works that way, which is a joy. But for my own stuff, I really just I am obsessed with the idea of following the song as it arises. If I'm trying to compose something specifically, I will basically usually improvise, record it from above. And the process of editing my own improvisations has been amazing for organizing my thoughts, because I'm looking through, I'm like, I don't like that. This thing I thought was awesome is terrible. This thing I thought was silly is amazing. The whole piece could have been that one 5-second little melody thing. The whole piece, everything else is whatever. You know, so that's a lot of the ways that I approach it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And a lot of it is also is just ideas, like things that tickle me, like a basic pattern or a shape, just like, and then I'll think about how can I work around that basic shape. And then the other thing I'll say that I adore are these little challenges, like here is the resolution of the scale, and so sometimes I'll try to find like the most uncomfortable thing, like ending here, or, yeah, there we go. Right, that's very natural, but, and I'll just keep repeating this very uncomfortable thing for as long as I can and just figure out how to make it musical. And that's another thing I really enjoy.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions? Doug has a question. Go ahead, Doug. Oh, you're good.
Okay, sorry about my dog. He's barking.
I didn't have a question, but I enjoyed the performance.
I can ask another one. We have this song. So we have, you know, the instrument itself, like I hear you calling it the handpan, and I don't want to disrespect it. I think that's what everybody calls it. I see a lot of people that, in my opinion, I don't know a lot, but they know nothing about the instrument, but just the instrument itself and what it does to people. It's relaxing, it's calming, and it's peaceful. And a lot of people buy similar kinds of instruments, and I just see them playing it, you know, and everybody is allowed, and I'm sure welcome to take an instrument and play around and fall in love with it. My issue, just in general, is that they play, but then all of a sudden they call themselves masters and they call themselves, you know, and I have a problem with that. So how, I always want, if somebody takes something and, you know, wants to become better, I always would like people to improve, of course. How do you get those people to actually learn and get better at that instrument? It's like they're set in their ways and they just think that they're so good now without taking any classes or anything. And how do you talk to such people?
That's a really, really fantastic question. So I will be the first to admit that I was that person early on. There was at least a little bit of there, probably more of that than humility. I was so excited, and I remember one of the first pieces, this is embarrassing to say out loud, but I'll say it. One of the first pieces I heard was Mano Desire by Mano Delago, and that was the first piece I heard, and it blew me away. And still in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, I could play better than that. And this is a guy who's just has amazing musical training and is also amazingly, he's an amazing musician. And I've been playing for close to 10 years now, and I still feel like I'm not anywhere close to that first piece that I could immediately play better than. And so that to me is a lot of what it comes down to, is this better than culture, this competitive culture. It's built into our economics. And so I feel like it bleeds through in our art. And that's what I was speaking to a little bit in the beginning about how important it is for us to approach art from a different place. Because I feel like a lot of this ignorance just comes from a lack of deep training, and we're geared to go really fast. And the idea of like really slowing down and perfecting the motion and like just enjoying it for the sake of enjoying it. That's what I really try to get people into. Is like, one thing that I do a lot is I imagine that the breath that's leaving my body is the last breath I'm going to breathe. I'm going to watch it just like I really will one day, and it's not going to come back in. And I try to really feel that, like, hey, it's not going to come back in. And I know the first thing I'll think of if I watch it go out and not come back in is like, come on, let me have one more. I'll enjoy it like a fine wine or chocolate or whatever. I promise I'll enjoy it. And we have this invitation each moment of like, oh my God, I have this body. This breath is coming into my body. And it's an incredible gift. And so that really helps me reset. In answer to your question of how do I help people who are in that place, I don't anymore. Like, if people aren't interested, I try really hard to like offer and not to push. If you're not interested, it usually, I mean, like I said, I've been playing for about 10 years, and I think I've only started getting really, really interested in the last 2 or 3 of like, hey, and yeah, the term mastery, from the way that I hold it in my ideals, like, we need another 20, 30 years of the instrument existing before we can even talk about mastery. It's so new. We have no idea what it can do, and that's why I get excited about education, because like, I have well, she just turned 6, a 6-year-old daughter. This generation, they're the first generation of kids that are gonna potentially get the chance to grow up with it and play it all the way through. You know, I got it like when I was 24, 25, somewhere in there. And yeah, so we're all babies. But even if we are in a lineage of mastery, for me, the pursuit of mastery is never claimed as something that is like over. We're constantly reaching, and as whenever we attain, we reach, and that continual stepping is what creates. I mean, I spend tremendous amount of time thinking about, how do I run the scale? How do I strike the instrument? How do I go from one note to another? I still have no idea if I'm happy with my choices. I wish I had another 50 years to explore all the different ways. And that like, listening to the sound as it is a tremendous challenge, because we have an idea of what the sound is, and then we're just in our head of like what the sound is, instead of really, really, wow, like, how do the sounds blend each moment? And if we could find enough sensory tools, we would notice that no 2 strikes are ever the same.
Yeah.
Like, from a fine, the angle, the temperature, the room, the exact to the micron strike, they're never exactly the same. Each one is a moment in time.
I get what you're saying.
All right. Wayne, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. It's kind of a basic question.
My favorite.
Peter, how would you characterize your experience as a professional musician, as opposed to, what an ordinary person is like? Musically.
Can you ask me the same question in another way, just so I can make sure that I'm understanding?
Well, how do you think that music has enriched your life? That's another way to ask it.
Well, for me, music is the ultimate teacher. I've been really blessed to have some tremendous teachers in my life. And those human beings have helped me find the living teacher in the sound. And by doing that, it helps me find the living moment, the living teacher in myself, which for me is really in silence and in listening. And I feel like a tremendous baby with this, in silence, in listening, and in the breath. And I don't know if that has anything to do with professional or not. What I know is that when I committed to it professionally, my relationship changed. And there's something that happens when I realize, like, there's nothing else I can do because I love this so much. That kind of changes. for the better and for challenging sometimes, where you feel that pressure. I hit a very long plateau for about 5 years where I hated everything that I played. I felt like nothing original was coming, and I still have those moments. But there's that commitment that helps me move forward. But I really feel if I didn't get, I mean, at this point, it has me 100%. I can't do anything else. I can't imagine doing anything else. And luckily, I feel like it's also my purpose. So that helps. That was a big shift. Shift number one, okay, I'm going to do this professionally and I'm not going to take $1 from something else. It's going to be this, just so that I do it enough to grow. And then step two came later where I was like, wow, this is really what I'm here to do on earth. This is the best way that I can share what I find is precious. And so, yeah, for me, music is the ultimate teacher of harmony, of rhythm, of the most important aspects of what it means to be alive. And they teach me how to be a better person, a better father, a better partner, a better friend, and a better student. And they teach me to be kinder to myself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was great.
That's a great answer. Thank you very much.
Anybody else have a question this evening?
I'm not on a strict timeline, so if you guys have questions, don't feel shy about the time. If you need to go, I understand. Let me just say before anybody goes, if you want to get on my mailing list, if you're interested in instruments or the courses, just email me. My email and brand is handpan360, and that's handpan360@gmail.com. And yeah, if you just email me and let me know that you wanna keep up with things. I also have a YouTube where I'm about to launch a lot of vlogs and interviews and conversations about scale analysis and just every little aficionado handpan thing you can imagine. So feel free to go and subscribe and do the notification thingy on that if you want to stay up to date with that. And then I have a Patreon that should be launching in the next couple weeks or so. And that is a place you can go if you want early access to YouTube videos, special like Patreon only videos, and also Patreon only concerts. So live stream concerts. So, yeah.
Wonderful. So we have another question here. Ginger, you had a question?
Oh, I just have a few comments.
Okay.
I'm blown away. We're blown away with your gift, and so appreciate being able to experience this tonight. And it's so obvious that the person that you are, it's just flowing from your soul through your hands to your instrument as a gift to everybody. And I just want to thank you for that and tell you take really good care of your hands so that you can keep playing for a long time.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I that's one of the reasons among many that I stopped building instruments, because it's like, this is not, obviously not where my gift is. I was working to build instruments. I found myself playing scales and making videos more than anything else. And eventually I was like, come on. But what I wanted to say is I really feel like what you're describing is all of our birthright. It might not be handpans. It might just be the way that we raise our children or the way that we garden. But I feel like our ideals, our culture has not taught us how to work with ideals and striving towards what we find is beautiful. And I really feel like if I wasn't doing this professionally, if I was just doing it in my basement alone and doing the same thing, that it's really important for all of humanity. And the more that all of us do that, find what we love and do it and really feel it, the more that we do that, the more that we grow as a human species. And the harder it is to do terrible things to each other, the harder it is to do terrible things to the earth, because when we're really in our body and really alive and connected to the artistry around us, it's, there's nothing to do but say thank you.
Right.
You got it.
Thanks.
Wow, beautiful. Well, I wanted to say thank you, Peter, for taking the time to share with us this incredible music. And I really enjoy this relaxed forum to, you know, for us and our audience to really get a chance to get to know you, asking these questions, to have a sit down and hear what you have to say and share with us. And also thank you to everybody that have been with us this evening for our second episode of World Fusion Wednesdays. And this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel in a few days. So you can keep tabs on what we're doing here. And I know that we want to have Peter back on the show at some point, and we will be talking with him and also supporting and promoting his classes and work through World Fusion Classroom. If you haven't had a chance to check out World Fusion Classroom website, I invite you to do that. Check out the classes, the artists that we're connecting with, and so on. So everybody enjoy your evening. I feel so much more peaceful having that music in my ears and in our home. Thank you again, Peter Levitov, for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. I will, I'll play one more as people go, and then when it's over, you can end the meeting and we'll end with some sound. Okay?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
How often do you get to do something like this?
And just if everybody would go ahead and make sure that they're muted.
Muted, right?
Wow.
Fantastic, my brother. Beautiful music. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Peter Levitov, for being with us on the second episode of World Fusion Wednesdays. I wish you all a good evening. Please stay in contact with Peter through his website, and we will be continuing to let you know from World Fusion Classroom what's going on with Peter, and we're excited to have him back at some point soon. So I wish you all a wonderful evening, and we will see you soon. Thank you again, Peter, for joining us. Good evening. Our next episode on the 14th, we have Jessica Albino, and she is a Bamba dance and drumming instructor. So we're excited to have her. Mark your calendars on the 14th of October, our next episode, which should be episode 3. So
she's also just like an astonishingly, amazingly beautiful human being too.
Yeah.
I definitely, you don't want to miss that one. She's an amazing person.
Wonderful. We're excited to have her for the show. So everyone, enjoy your evening. Thank you for your music once again, Peter. All right. Everyone have a good evening.